I am Stamp with Teah Woodward. I am an independent demonstrator located in Vancouver, Washington, in the United States. And I'm really glad to be here today. I hope that I can inspire you. I'm making 3 cards, all using the stamp set called Trees for Sale. And I will go into that more in just a little bit. So a couple of Stampin' Up! Business things that are going on. One, we have a promotion called Perfect Partners. There's 6 stamp sets that don't normally have dies, and during the month of September, they have coordinating dies with them. And if you saw my video from earlier this week, you saw that I did it on trimming the tree, and I used the detail dies in these cards. Afterwards, I actually created a 3rd card using just the stamp set. This is going in my October tutorial bundle that I'll be offering free as a gift with purchase. I have a tutorial bundle that I participate in with a group of people every month, and this month there's 34. I don't know how many are in the October bundle, but anyway, so these are all cards that I made using the trimming the tree, and so that was a lot of fun. That promotion is only through the end of September or while supplies last. So if you go on the website and you go to specials, so you're at stampinup.com, you go across the top menu, you'll see specials, and you take the drop down menu and you'll see Perfect Partners promotion or Perfect Partners. And that's where you will see which stamp sets and which ones have dies. So, and that is also where you will see what's still available or not. Last time I looked, everything was still available, but that does end September 30th. The other thing that's going on right now, just during the month of September, is September weekly deals. And they just launched yesterday the 4th week, so the last week of September, the weekly deals. And there's some good stuff in there. I'm due to receive a package from last week's weekly deals today. So I'm trying to decide if I'm going to place another order. There's some stuff I really want to stock up on because they're good basics. I'll actually mention one of those in today's video. But anyway, those have been released. You'll do exactly the same process, except under specials, you will go down and you'll see September weekly deals. And that's what you will select in order to see what is on sale. And it'll show you the original price, and then in red, yeah, it's red or pink. Next to it, it'll show you the sale price. So that's pretty cool. I just released on my social media today. I have not put it on Instagram yet, now that I think about it, and I don't have a pen near me to write a note, so hopefully I'll remember after this. But I participated in a blog hop with the Ink and Inspiration group, and this is the card I made. So this is based on colors that were in the inspiration image that we were provided, and I used Decorated in Happiness, that stamp set, or bundle actually, to create this card. Isn't that cute? I thought it turned out really well. And then on the inside, I just stamped the branches. So this is fun. This was actually more fun than I was expecting it to be. So this was the first time I used it. Can't wait to use it again. So anyway, so that's some of what I've been working on here recently. That blog post went live today. So hop on over to Teah Woodward at blogspot.com, and that's where you will find that. There were 5 other people that participated in this particular blog hop. So inside my blog, you'll see 6 links, one of which is me, that you already be at, and the others are all live links, and you can click on each one of those to go to their blog and see what they created using the same colors. So it's pretty fun. pretty fun. Okay, I am now going to turn the camera down and show you the 3 cards that we're going to make. They're all pretty quick. One is takes just a little bit longer than the others. One of the cards is a fun fold. One of the cards features one of the items that's in this week's weekly deals. I feel like there was something else that I wanted to point out. But so the name of this, okay, this is what I needed to tell you. So this stamp set, Trees for Sale, it's on page 39 of the mini catalog, if you happen to have a mini catalog. So this catalog went live at the beginning of Celebration. Celebration is over. It ended at the end of August. It was July and August. And there were a set of dies that coordinated with this stamp set. They look like this. They were really cute. They had a trailer and all kinds of fun stuff in here. I'm not even going to get into it because I'm not demonstrating it today. That's the reason I'm bringing it up. If you were hoping that I was going to demonstrate those dies today, I am not. And the reason I am not is because they are not available anymore. They were a promotion during July and August. So I'm sticking just to the stamp set, and I hope you understand. Okay? And then before I close this catalog, I think I'm going to just double check the name of this DSP. Yes, I had it right. Okay. Set this over here, and I'm going to turn the camera down and show you what we're working on today. I don't think this will go more than about an hour, hour and 15 minutes today. So we have 3 cards. I'm using, let me push these up a little bit, straighten this out a little bit. I'm using the Gingham Cottage Designer Series paper on all 3 of these. You'll notice this one has an alteration to it. I will go over that, how to make that. Kind of fun. One little fun fold. This is really cute and fits nice and flat in an envelope and has a place to put a message on the back. Both of these are side fold. It's very, very standard cards. So here's the stamp set. You'll see that there's 17 stamps. We've got 3 different sizes of trees and then some definition to put on the trees. We have a sign, Trees for Sale. We have a puppy. We have a base for the trees, you know, like if you're in a tree lot. We have lights like you would see in a tree lot. 3 sentiments. We have some puppy prints, some like ornaments. I was interpreting these as snowflakes. And then we have a pole like maybe your lights would hang from. I did not use the pole, the bulbs, or the snowflakes today. I actually I'm looking over in my garbage can to see if I can still see it. I did start off making one card that used some of those elements, and it didn't rock my world, so I switched gears. So anyway, here's the stamp set. Here are the cards that we're going to make today. I am going to start with the buffalo plaid card. Then I'll make the this card, and then I'll make the fun fold last. All of them are quite quick. I have pre-die cut and pre-cut everything, unless I needed to stamp it before I cut it. So push this chair out of the way. And today I'm going to use a bigger piece of grid paper than I normally use, because today I'm just going to get messy. And I might even be messier than I expect to be, because about an hour ago I broke my finger. So notice the finger with the missing fingernail? Yeah, it's pretty purple on the end. I've been icing it and it's swollen, and it's pretty tender. So, but I'm going to do my best here. I saw other people that have gotten injured here recently too, and they're even demonstrating with a cast on. So if they can do it, I can do it. I'm going to start with a piece of cardstock that is 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored at 5.5. I will be updating my blog with images and dimensions for all of these projects, as well as the link to this video. It will also have the link to all of the products used. So I'm going to fold this in half and give this a nice burnish. Burnish is a fancy word for I'm creasing it well using my bone folder. Now, let me tell you just a little bit about this designer series paper. Here are just 3 of the pieces. There are 12 different design. Hold on. Double check that piece of information. I'm pretty sure there are 12 designs and there's 4 of each. There's 48 sheets. This is one of the jumbo packs and it's 12 by 12. This has been cut down because I've been using it. I am just double checking my information. Page 59 of the mini catalog. I don't want to misguide anybody. So it's 12 by 12, it's 48 sheets. There's 4 of each 12 double-sided designs. So I'm just showing you 3 of the pieces here that I happen to be using today. I always recommend that if you want to see any of the designer series paper more clearly, or all of the images, go to stampinup.com, put in Gingham Cottage designer series paper or Gingham Cottage 12 by 12, and it will pull up this paper and you can flip through and you can see it sheet by sheet. So here are the 3 that I'm using today, and then I'm just, oops, yeah, and here, these are just the back sides of those 3. So you can see, oh, actually, I showed that to you wrong. This is, there we go. This is what I'm using today, are these 3. So, and I'm starting with this one. All right, so one of the things that I want to show you today, before I even get started on this, is I am going to, so you saw, I showed you at the beginning some of what I've been working on, right? Well, I'm using up some of my ink in my ink pads. And this ink pad is quite dry in the center, and it's got some color around the edges, but it really needs quite a bit more ink added to it. So I'm going to see if I can do this with one less finger than usual. Come on, there we go. I'm having a hard time. It's my middle finger. Everything rests on my middle finger. Let's see if I do this two-handed. I'm sure I look quite silly and I apologize for that. So I'm just adding some ink, and normally I'm able to do it in a squiggly line that goes across. Today, nope, not able to do that. But what I wanted to show you is that I put my ink on and then I take a plastic spoon, usually one that came in some food to go, and I just go in and I start spreading. Yes, see, I need more ink. That ink is just soaking in right where I put it. I can push. I might get away with that for this video. I'm gonna try. So I've got my Simply Chamois over here off camera, and I'm just gonna use that to clean this off. If you're not familiar with the Simply Chamois, well, I'll show it to you. It's quite ugly. It's because it's stained, but it's like a sponge, and it fits in one of our stamp cases, and you just get it wet and you clean off your stamps with it. And in this case, clean off my spoon. All right, I am going to grab my blending brush and let's see. I am going to turn this white and black plaid into a red and black plaid because I am a huge fan. Actually, I had intended to wear buffalo check today to go with this whole Christmas tree lot kind of theme. And all of a sudden it started warming up outside. I thought it was going to be cool enough for me to get away with that for during shooting, but nope. So I'm just going to go in and apply my ink, and I can go back and make it darker. Yeah, I really need more ink than what I was able to push out. I'm gonna have to have my husband give me a hand when he gets home. And I'm just gonna keep going until I get this into this kind of buffalo plaid, red and black. I own 3 different shirts in the red and black plaid, all flannel, all different sizes of plaid. I think they're all the same size shirt. I have the red and black plaid in dish towels, in Christmas ribbon, in socks. Heck, last year my husband even found a blanket for me. It's just a, I'm gonna clear my throat. Excuse me. It's just a look that I like. And it suits me. So I have a lot of it. The main color, not the main color, but the main accent color for decorating in our home happens to be red anyway. Like I said, accent, not the main color. See how beautiful that's turning out? Almost done. Now if I were to end up with just a lighter spot here, you can see I'm going to be putting a square over it anyway. So what's most important is that I get the edges nice and saturated, which I think I've done. You can see why I wanted this bigger piece of paper. Protect my work surface. Okay, I think that's good. Set that aside. Now I am going to adhere this to a matte layer. Oh, and the color I was using, by the way, was Real Red, which I am not done with. Okay, my matte layer. So my matte layer is 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 by 5 inches. My plaid layer is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And I like to mat it, even though there's barely any even showing around the edge, but it really makes it pop. I'm going to use my multi-surface adhesive. Oh yeah, I really feel not being able to use that finger. I have a video I'm supposed to be recording for World Card Making Day. And I guess I'm going to have to find a way to not need that finger, maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure something out. Give that a nice little squish. And now our card front is ready. Ooh, get that hair out of here. I am going to just go ahead and adhere this to our card base. I am then, after I apply this, I'm going to do all of my stamping. So my stamping that goes on this, this white square, the trees for sale, and the inside. I'm going to do all the stamping, and then I'll assemble the card. Like I said, all three of these cards are pretty quick. I forgot to look up so I could tell you what I'm demonstrating next Monday. Let's see. Looks like I'm demonstrating cottage wreaths. Okay, I'm going to set this aside. Let's see. I am missing my die cut square. There it is. All right. So this is going our card front. This is our inner card, and this is just scrap for our tree for sale that I'm going to hand cut. All right, opening up my stamp set. And in this card, I used the medium-sized tree for all three of the trees on the front. And I used the smaller trees for the trees on the inside. On this card, I am using Old Olive, and the accent color is in Mossy Meadow. So I'm going to stamp 3. Oh, it looks like 2 of the bigger tree and 1 of the smaller tree on the front. I might even just move them a little bit. Clean off my stamp with the chamois. All 3 of these cards use the same blocks, and so I found that normally I pre-mount all of my stamps on my blocks so that I don't have like a mess going on, but that's not how it was going to work today. And so I'm stamping the background of all of the trees. And then I will stamp the detail. So let me show you what I mean by that. So see, here's the background color, and then here's your detail color. And this is a good time for me to share with you some of what I went through to determine the colors that I was going to use. Let me close this up. I've got samples here that I can share with you. I went through and I took all my greens and I did some experimenting to see what I liked. So for instance, this is seafoam on seafoam, or this is garden green stamped off and then garden green again on top of it. Pear pizzazz, old olive, shaded spruce, granny apple green with garden green. So I went through and that's what I did. And that's what I recommend you do too, is you go through and you find out what you like, what looks like what you want it to look like. All right, to finish these trees off, I am going to open up my Mossy Meadow. And this was the detail stamp for the larger tree. And because these are photopolymer and we're using clear blocks, we can just line them right up. Ta-da! On one size. And get the detail die, or detail die, it's the detail stamp for the smaller tree. I really, it's so weird stamping without using that finger, or not using it the same way that I normally do. I didn't realize just how much I used it. Okay, so all of that part is done. I'm now going to stamp the little wood cross bases that go underneath the trees, like that would be in a tree lot. I didn't leave enough room to do those on the inside of the card, but I did on the outside of the card. So on the bases, I am using soft suede. This is a little dinky stamp. And oh, that one, oh, I was going to say that it was going to be a little crooked, but it's not bad. All right, so there's my trees for the front of the card, my trees for the inside of the card. I now have a sentiment to stamp and a sign to stamp. And see, this stamp is so small, I'm going to make sure that it goes right back in my stamp case. I don't want to take any chances. Losing a stamp is horrifying. All right, I'm going to grab my trees for sale sign, which I just am infatuated with it being red. Every time I've used this stamp so far, I've done it in red. And I'm just going to fussy cut that out, and it's all right angles, so it's no big deal to do that. Oh, and then before I put that away, I might as well go ahead and stamp my sentiment on the inside of my card. And I'm trying to remember which one I used. I'm guessing So Very Merry, but let's see. Yep, So Very Merry. Third time's a charm. There we go. And ink that up. And I see that I got just a little bit of ink right here, and I'm going to wipe that off because I don't want to accidentally rock my block and ruin my inner card. Scooch this down so that I can, let's see, can you see it? Yeah, you can still see what I'm doing. And I'm just using it to line up, center, and there we go. So now I can close up that red ink, because goodness knows we don't want that anywhere that it wasn't supposed to be. I am going to adhere this inner card message liner to a matte layer. So I used black, and it's the same dimensions as what was on the front. So this is This one, this is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. This is 3 3/4 by 5. And again, all the dimensions will be listed on my blog later today. I don't know how long this finger is going to take to heal, but I hope not too long. Next weekend, my husband and I have our last boat event of the year. Boat race at one of my absolute most favorite towns in the world, and that is Lake Chelan, or Chelan, Washington. I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to the inside of the card. It's beautiful over there. The water is the clearest water I've ever seen in my life. Deep, deep water, and you can look straight down. And it is gorgeous. The people are just amazing over there. On our way into town, so we'll be there for 5 days, and on our way into town, we always stop at the, that's a, what do you call it, agricultural area. And so we always stop and pick up apples at the apple stand and that sort of thing. I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of this square. And then all of our very closest friends are all involved as well. So it's just 5 days of wonderful, wonderful, wonderful times. Now with our COVID numbers going back up, I was just talking to one of my girlfriends last night, and we may not all hug like we normally do. It's just not the time. Not time yet. Matter of fact, some of our, oh, sorry, that was my head hitting the camera. Yeah, some of our friends that are normally there will most likely not be there because of COVID exposure. So we will be careful. But it's a family affair for us. My husband's brother has a hydroplane, and my husband and his brother both drive. I'm just a pit crew member, which I love doing. I had a bunch of health ailments as I was growing up, and I didn't really get to participate in team sports. But I get to participate in this, and it's definitely a team sport. It's pretty amazing. One of the things that I'm working on, I haven't figured out exactly what I'm going to do yet, but we have a Stampin' Up! Convention. The yearly convention is the middle of November, and I'm going to be going to that event. And swaps are a common activity, and I have to plan my swaps. I haven't planned them yet, and they take a little while to do, especially if you're doing a large number of them. Whoops, 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 that got that in the wrong spot. So I need to get cracking. The closest location to where I live, so I live in Vancouver, Washington, and the closest location for one of the conventions is Vancouver, BC. So I'm going to be going to that. Super excited. All right, gonna put my little trees for sale sign right there. all I have left to put on this card are my matte black dots and my linen thread. And the first card will be done. So I mentioned at the beginning that one of the items that I was going to share today was one of the items that was in the September weekly deals, and these matte black dots are on that sale this week. So this is like a standard in my toolbox. I love them. I use them a lot. So anyway, they went well with this card today, so I am using them. I'm gonna make a double bow with my linen thread. I like to cut it off. A lot of people will tie their bow while it's still attached. I like to cut mine and release the tension. It's just easier for me to handle it that way. And a lot of times you'll see me using a bow maker, but the linen thread doesn't really need it. There we go, a nice tight bow. And I will clip those ends. So over at Lake Chelan, there's a really nice resort over there, and that's right on the water. It's called a resort. It's a hotel that's right on the water. Anyway, and so we get one of the cabins that has a full kitchen, and it was really just a grand time that we have over there. Now, a lot of our friends will be over in the RV park. Oops, I didn't quite get that in the right spot. But we all check out each other's places and share meals and all kinds of fun stuff. Okay, card number 1 is done. Do you like it? I hope. I'm going to set that to one side and we'll get started on card number 2. So I don't apply ink in the same way on the other 2 cards. So I'm just going to flip this over. So that red isn't a big old nasty distraction. So this card is this one here. And let's see. Okay, so same dimensions as previously, 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. This is a side fold card, so I'm going to grab my bone folder and give that a nice little burnish. Excuse me, frog in my throat. All right, so there it is. On this card, there's no matte layer, so you'll see there's a more quiet or tighter plaid. I went with the bigger, messier plaid for the card front. Let's see, what else can I tell you about? Once our boat racing is over for the year, then I'll shift focus more on the Stampin' Up! Convention. Okay. So I am going to, again, stamp all of my pieces, just like I did on the last card. I'm going to stamp everything at the same time. So here, this is my card front. Oh, you know what? That's what I didn't share with you. So on the first card, I used, for the square, I die cut it with the Stylish Shapes dies. So it's the largest square is what I used. And then for this card, I'm using the 4th largest stitched rectangle dies. All right, back to the business at hand. So I'm going to start with the trees. So just need to remember. So I've got 1 large one on the inside, 3 medium size, I think, let me see here. There are 2 smalls and 2 mediums, something like that. I can make it whatever I want, so I might just change it up. And in this case, I am using garden green ink. And for these trees, I will stamp off the background before I stamp it on the card. This one I need to refill my die as well, or add ink as well. But I think I'm gonna wait with that finger being the way it is. And now for the detail portion, I'm just using the garden green, just straight color. When your ink pad starts to feel kind of sticky, then it has started to dry or started to run out of ink. So you can actually hear the sticky on this one. So that was for my inner liner. And this one I'm not as worried about leaving room for the wood base. Sorry, couldn't get my words out. All right. So just adding in that little bit of detail. Sorry, I'm having to clean off everything in between each time that I change here. Because I live in a small space, I have made the decision, until I don't live in a small space, to make do with 1 set of blocks. If I had multiple sets of blocks, I would be able, okay, I didn't like how that one stamped off. Then I would be able to have everything mounted for video. Here we go. But I am happy with my small space. I am not complaining. It also keeps me from owning too much. All right, let's add the details here. And then we'll stamp a puppy. Everybody loves the puppy. So I used garden green stamped off and then detailed with the garden green on top. And there we go. Got a little messy with my garden green ink. So I am going to close up my garden green ink. I am going to get out early espresso. So I'm using a dark brown because I am stamping that puppy over the tree. So if you didn't want the green to pop through on the puppy, then you could use a lighter color, or you have to use a darker color if you don't want that to happen. So I'm using the dark brown. Because I'm using photopolymer, I can line up where this lands. Just like that. Look at that pretty little puppy. Now, if you were using a lighter colored ink for the puppy, then you could go in and you could add some details, but I'm not able to do that because I use such a dark ink. It's kind of a give and take, right? All right, now I am going to grab my Memento Black. Actually, first I am going to mount the lights that you would normally see when you go to buy a tree. You know, a lot of the tree lots have the lights that are swooping about. Well, I'm going to add those to the front and to the inside of my card. This is another reason I needed this bigger piece of paper, is I do a lot of stamping off the edge. So there is my front. I think, yeah, on this one I did the opposite corner. And I did about like such. There we go. And close up that memento. Now, I've got my Stampin' Blends here. Oh, that finger feels so weird. And I'm just using the dark, and I'm using the bullet tip. This is real red. And let's see if I can do this without hitting the camera. So there's the inside. And there's the outside. Clean off this stamp because I still need to stamp a sentiment, and I need the same block for that. And I need to stamp the So Very Merry is what I used, okay? Just like on the last card. So I am going to stamp on this scrap my tree for sale. Oh, got to get my puppy off of here and get my like I said, I was using all the same blocks. There we go. So my tree for sale sign and my sentiment is what I have left to stamp. So trees for sale. Need to fussy cut that just like last time. Cleaned that off in advance. Now ink up my So Very Merry. Is this coming together quickly? Ta-da! And I can close up that red. Set that aside. Check my hands. I'm actually going to grab the edges of my chamois where I don't tend to wipe things off and just wipe off my fingers and make sure I don't have any loose ink. All right, this is no matte is going to be adhered to the inside of the card. By the way, I forgot to mention that this is crumb cake. This card base is crumb cake. I already gave you the dimensions. I just forgot to tell you what color it was. And so I didn't tell you how I damaged the finger. I was closing a window and I guess I just didn't grip it tight enough. And my finger slipped. The nail shattered, as well as my ego. There we go. Nice and straight. So Very Merry. Now here's our card front. I am going to flip this over and adhere. Oh, I didn't punch these yet. So I've got 3 strips that are 3/8 of an inch by 5. I'm going to use my, I always forget the name of this. Pick a banner punch, I believe is the name of it. And I am going to flag cut one end and banner cut the other end. And I think I just said them opposite of what they were. The first one was the banner, this one's the flag. So see, one is a tip, the other one has like a little banner flag. And one more. Last punch. Okay, so get my debris field out of the way here. Now I've taken this, so this stamped image, I'm just going to flip it over. I'm going to take my my freshly punched pieces and I'm going to attach them to the back. So I only need ink in the center, adhesive in the center, and I'm just going to center it. And I'm going to flip this over and take a quick look and make sure it looks like it's centered or flat. It's not. There it is. That's better. So now I'm going to take the other two and I'm going to point them in the opposite direction. So you see this one's pointing that way. The other two are going to point the other direction. one on each side of that. So again, just adhesive in the center. And I can put those as close or as far away as I want to that first strip. And one more. I think I'm going to back that one down. Back it up just, oops, just a little dinky bit. There we go. I'm going to flip it over and make sure it looks, yeah, it looks good. See, just nice little pop of color. Going to add some dimensionals. So I'm going to put dimensionals in each of the corners. Just kind of putting an excessive amount on here, but it won't hurt anything for sure. I just don't want it to collapse when I mail it. So the dimensionals, they just raise everything up just a little bit. Normally I use my take your pick tool and I pick these off, but I pivot my tool off of that finger and I obviously can't right now. So that's why I'm peeling these by hand and ever so much slower. Anyway, dimensionals add dimension, just like they're called. They raise it up off of the paper, and sometimes that's all that's needed to make something really pop, not look flat. Okay, so here's our card front. I opened it up to make sure it was opening the right direction, and I am centering this from top to bottom and side to side. You don't have to. You could certainly do it at an angle. You could do whatever you wanted. This is how I'm doing it. Now I am going to cut my tree for sale. My sign. Let's see, what else can I tell you about? You'll like this last card. It's a nice little fun fold. Simple, simple. Just about everybody has made it before, but it always looks a little different with each stamp set. And if you've got the dies, you can make it look even more fun. I just don't want to share using the dies since they're not available to purchase anymore. I did see on Pinterest that there were loads and loads of ideas for this stamp set and the dies on Pinterest. Okay. I'm just trimming that just a little bit more. I had a little bit of a heavier halo of the red, or of the white. There we go. Now I'm going to add 2 dimensionals to the back of that. Attach these to the front. Oh, again, get this debris out of the way before I throw linen thread through it all. Okay, so I've got 2 things left. Oh, you know what I didn't do? On that last card, I didn't put those matte black dots on. I told you I was going to, and then I didn't do it. So here, let's do it. Now I can use the take your pick for this because I'm not doing anything in a flicking motion. So I'm just taking the clay end of my Take Your Pick tool. And I'm going to put one black dot up there, one down here, and one over here. That's it. That's all. I was so close to done and just didn't do that last little bit. Well, since I already have the Take Your Pick tool out, I might as well go ahead and do this. So I'm using the, they're called the Festive. I'm going to look this up. So the name that's on my package is not the name that you order them by. And I'm not sure why that happened. I've never seen that happen with Stampin' Up! Before, but it happened this time. So I am double checking. They're called Festive Pearls. Festive Pearls. There's real red, soft succulent, silver, and gold. And I am going to use 2 silver and 2 gold. Normally I do everything in odd numbers when it comes to my embellishments. But in this case I've got 4 trees, so I'm doing what I'm doing. All right, so now we just need the linen thread bow. I realize I jumped around. My apologies. And I'm going to tie it very much like I did on the last card, except this one is going to be smaller because it's going to go on the bottom of this Trees for Sale sign. It will start off a little bit bigger though, because if I cut it down, I won't be able to hold it while I'm tying. So I have to have it at least big enough for me to hang on to. Oops, let's see, I didn't grab both ends when I pulled. Yeah, let's see, let's fix that. Nice tight center. Just keep massaging it down to the size that I want. I'm going to go just a little bit smaller. And now I'm going to cut my ends. I should have cut them smaller or shorter than I did. I'm going to cut them just a little bit shorter. And I'm looking for my mini glue dots. They've got to be here. I've already used them. They must have rolled somewhere. That's funny. Hey y'all, if you can see them, tell me where they're at. I don't see them. Oh. That's crazy. Crazy pants. Well, I can get a new box. Thankfully, the box was nearby. You know I'm going to find them as soon as I use this first. I see them. And take my little bow here. Put that mini glue dot right on the back of that knot. And I am adhering that to the stick portion of my sign. And there we go. Card number 2 is done. I'll set those to one side. All right, last card. So this is the card we're making. It's a cute little fun fold. Super simple. Can't wait to show you just how simple it is. So we're going to start off with a card base that is 8.5 by 4.25. So did you catch that? That's not our normal card base dimension. It is 4.25 by 8.5. Then we have score marks. Let's see if so if this is if I'm sliding this direction, we're scoring at 4.5, 5.5, 7, and 8. These dimensions will all be updated on my blog, so you will be able to see them in writing. I am now going to take my bone folder and I'm going to burnish all 4 of those. So when you're burnishing, you see where there's a bump in the score? You want that to be to the inside, okay? And that's true for your regular cards as well. It has to do with how the fibers have been broken on your cardstock. So just burnishing all 4 of those, just like that. All right, so now what's going to happen is this is going to get adhered like this, but I'm going to show you a trick to make sure that when you do, it lays nice and flat. So first, I'm going to put my adhesive on here. Then, so not the first score line, but the second score line is going to be folded, and you're going to lay that adhesive right down in between. So did you see how I did that? So I'm adhering this completely flat. And the reason you want to do it this way, you don't want to eyeball it and try to do it in a 3D fashion, because if this is a card that you're going to mail, you need it to be able to lay flat, right? So look at that. There's our 3D, and it's going to stand just like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of designer series paper. This piece is 4 by 2 7/8 inches. I'm going to put adhesive on the back of that. And then I am going to adhere it in this upper portion, up above this shelf. So the bottom butts up against the shelf. The sides and the top have an equal distance around them. You see that? So then that shelf pops right up, like that. Make good sense? So then I'm going to take a piece of, so this is garden green cardstock. This is real red cardstock. This piece of cardstock is 5 inches by 3 inches. It is scored in 2 places, 1/2 inch and at, oh, excuse me, yeah, at 1/2 inch and at 1.5 inches. So just 1 inch in between the two. 1/2 inch, 1 inch. Excuse me. 1/2 inch, 1.5 inches. So I'm going to burnish that. And you do want to take the time to burnish each of these, because it's going to make it so that things are not rounded but are more crisp. Then we have another piece of designer series paper, and this piece is 2 inches by 5 inches. Now, oops, sorry, I hit it again. I am not going to score these. I could, but I have found that my score lines never match up exactly. I'm not exactly sure why that is the case. So I am going, now that these have been scored and burnished, I'm going to go ahead and adhere my designer series paper right up the center of this. And then before everything is finished drying, I'm going to go ahead and add my folds in there. So I hope that made sense. If not, watch what I'm doing. So I am going to add this. I'm more worried about it lining up at the bottom than I am up at the top, and the top is where those score lines are at. So I see that I'm a little crooked side to side, so I'm going to scooch that over, making sure that bottom is lined up because that's exposed right on the front of the card. And then going to, whoa, what happened there? That's not my normal experience. Let's see, let's try this again. Goodness gracious. Well, that's exactly what I told you I didn't want to have happen. I'm going to go ahead and use that to burnish that. And hopefully this one does a little better. Yep, it did better. Whew, yikes. Now, see if I can show this. You see, there's just a slight difference in the length. And it's because this is wrapping to the outside, which means it actually needed, it's even less than a 1/16 of an inch more. But because that's hidden in the glue line, it'll never show. Okay. So this is going to be adhered center front on this lower shelf area and adhered up here. I am going to start by adhering this section first. And I'm going to lay that flat. Oops. Let's see here. I'm going to pull this up close to my eyes. Well, that just glommed right on, so it's not moving. It looks like it should scooch this way just a hair, but it's not going to let me, so I'm leaving it. Okay, so this goes up. Now I need to add a piece or some adhesive to this flap here. Here we go. Might make a mess. So I am laying this back down flat, folding this back, and pushing that down in place. And letting that adhere. And now everything is nice and square. Okay? So that's the key, is doing it as in the flat orientation as much as possible. Okay, so now we get to decorate this fun little card. So here's the front. We're going to stamp a tree on the front of that in the diagonal orientation. And this is the same as the first card that I showed you. I used the largest of the largest square in the Stylish Shapes dies. So that is that. And then on the back of this card is going to be a tree down in here. And if I wanted to, so at the first card, I only used one strip of red. Yeah, I think I'm going to do the same as I did on here. So I'll stamp one tree here, and my greeting. And I should have, I did pre-cut, looking for it. I did a strip cut. That didn't feel good. I'm used to tapping my fingers. Well, goodness, I'm gonna have to grab another piece. One moment. I might have even thrown it in this. So I needed a, this is my scrap bin. Oh, that's still too wide. That one's really close. I might just go ahead and go with that. All right. And yes, I know I say all right a lot. It's my reset button. So the tree is in the same color as the last card that we made. So I'm going to be using garden green and using the same stamp off process. On the back, on the front, I'm using the largest tree. I'm going to get a drink. Using the largest tree on the front. Kind of nestling that point up there. Not too high, but oh, I stamped it full strength. Did you see that? I didn't stamp off. Well, let me go back to my cheat sheet here. Did I do a green on green? I did do, I do have a garden green on garden green. It's not horrible. It does make it darker. But I ended up with an uneven print here. Okay, well, the worst thing that can happen, dang it, I did it again, ouch. Let's see. I'm gonna give it a try, see what we get. If I have to, I can just flip the cardstock over. Okay, that's not horrible. That's actually pretty acceptable if you ask me. So I'm gonna go with that. Or at least I'm gonna let it see, I'm gonna see how it dries. I am going to use the smallest tree on the back. Now, because I did it full strength on the front, I might as well go ahead and do it the same way on the back, right? Okay, this piece of cardstock is 4 by 4 1/4. 4 1/4 is the length, 4 is the width. You know what? This is a handmade card. Accidents happen, and sometimes those accidents are not even discernible to the receiver. I actually think this is looking pretty acceptable. Okay, next I am going to stamp. Oh, the only thing left to stamp is the sentiment on this cardstock. So if I get it straight, all will be great. And I'm going to stamp that in the real red, so I'm done with my green. Almost done with the third card, my friends. Okay. And right above the camera, so hopefully I don't. Okay, I've got a shadow and it's making it hard to see. I think I'm getting away with that. Yeehaw! All right. I can now close up my stamp set, close up my ink, check my hands for any gross excess. I'm going to trim just a little bit off the end of this side and then even it up on this side. There we go. I am then going to adhere one of these pieces right across the top here, just giving it a pop of color. Adding my strip right here at the top. And scooching it just a little bit. So there's the back of our card. I can go ahead and adhere that right now before I add anything to the front. This card is flat enough for you to be able to write a message on it, or you can write your message before you attach it. This fits in a regular envelope. I will show you in just a moment. Oh, hi, Sonia. Thank you. I love this stamp set too. Yay, so good to see your name pop up. All right, there's the back. So there's where you would add your message. Here on the front, I'm going to adhere this flat. So in doing so, I am going to be sure that I don't add any adhesive to these three tips. So I can add adhesive to this tip, and then I have to kind of do what I think of kind of like a baseball diamond. So I'm going to start here so that I know which one I can go to. And like that. It wasn't fancy, but that's okay. It's all hidden. And then I'm centering at the bottom and at the top, right? So I'm just giving that a nice little squish, getting that adhesive set. I am going to put 3 dimensionals on the back, maybe 4, on the back of my sentiment here. Yeah, I'm going to do 4. And Sonia, are you going to on stage? And if you are, which one are you going to? I'm going to be in Vancouver, BC. It looks like I didn't quite get that as centered as I thought I did, but it's too late now. Montreal, okay. Wish I was going to see you. But so glad that we all get to go, right? Okay, I'm now going to add some ornaments to the tree, and I'm going to pull from the same, the Festive Pearls that I used on the last card. So, a little darker. Your second, yeah, it's my second one in person too. The first one I went to was in Portland in 2019. That's actually why I joined Stampin' Up, was so that I could go to so that I could go to on stage. Because I wanted to see what it was all about. I'm so excited. All right, just a couple, one more ornament here. First one was in Quebec. Yeah, right before COVID. Yep, me too, except Portland. Yep. All right, now I'm going to tie a bow to put at the top of the tree, and then we're done. Can you believe that? These 3 cards were pretty simple, don't you think? Especially if you do on production line. And what I mean by that is if you're doing a whole bunch of the same card, then you can do the same process for each one all at the same time. It's really does make it quite fast. So I make about 140, well, last year it was 144 Christmas cards for family and friends, not including my customers. And I'm going to start over. I'm making a mess here. Let's see. Let me cut another new piece. I accidentally put a knot in that one. Silly. Thank you, Sonia. I appreciate it. Okay. Almost. So I've got a rough bow and there we go. I can make that just a little smaller so it doesn't look quite so Mickey Mouse ears. There we go. Let me cut these tails off. Maybe if I hold them this way. And mini glue dots. Oh, I hit my head on the camera again. Actually, I didn't hit it on the camera. I hit it on the holder. Yeah, put my bow right at the top of that tree. And there we go. Yes, one of these linen threads is a little messy. And there we are, my friends. So we've just finished the 3rd card. pretty, right? So let me pull all these in here. So easy to make. So I hope I've inspired you to want to make your own Christmas cards this year, at least some of them, if not all of them. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you all. It really warms my heart to be able to share with you what I love, and what I love is to stamp and to craft. So thank you for joining me. Big hugs, everybody. Goodbye.